On episode 13 of Office Hours with Dr. Guy, we talk about assumptions, not being able to get a chair, and lit review stuff. Bring your questions to Office Hours with Dr. Guy. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 13, and springtime is upon us, a time of change, a time of renewal, headed into summer pretty soon, where I know many of you are going to be working on lit review, finally finishing that chapter 3 and getting proposals finished. Many of you are collecting data, and the emails are just pouring in. Lots of you have gone to my website at thedissertationmentor.com, have signed up for my free writing training, and you are sending me lots of emails in reply. Lots of you are leaving questions here on these videos, and so I just want to say thanks. When I get this many people questioning me at one time, I'm getting somewhere between 50 and 100 messages right now a day. It's clear to me that things are cranking for you. So keep on cranking. So let's get into your questions. Nancy asks, I need some guidance on the assumptions, limitations, delimitations sections. Nancy, welcome to the show. So assumptions, delimitations, limitations, some of the easiest sections to deal with in your dissertation, highly formulaic, and they're based upon two things. Number one, they're based upon the definition and the execution that is required by your chair, by your committee, and by your program. So you want to look at all the dissertations, and how many I mean by all. Like, I would say look at the last 25 dissertations that have been published inside of your program and see what the norms are around assumptions, limitations, and delimitations. It's possible you don't need all these sections, though you're seeing them in other dissertations from other programs and other schools. So let's get into the definition of each of those. Assumptions, in my opinion, are probably is the easiest. Assumptions is all it's all the things that you might take for granted about your study and is true. So an example of like an assumption that would be true is that that the opinions expressed by people that filled out your survey are actually their opinions, that they weren't coerced in some way, and that in fact the opinions expressed in the data are in fact theirs. That seems like completely obvious, but that's what an assumptions section does, is it lays out all the things you are assuming are true as you go into your study, and in fact are true. Now, limitations and delimitations are often confused. Delimitations are first of all, both delimitations and limitations revolve around this question of what is included or not included in your study, and to what degree you can generalize the findings of your study to a larger audience or to a larger population. Usually it has something to do with that. So, but there's a difference between the two, is that delimitations are completely in your control. So like a delimitation would be that you only are surveying nurses in hospitals that are large, right? You're only surveying nurses in large hospitals, or you're only surveying nurses that have 5 years of experience or more. These delimitations are completely in your control. You might not be able to generalize to all nurses because, of the fact that you're only talking to nurses that have 5 years or more of experience or higher, but that was your choice. And it's you who decided to do that. Limitations, though, is a bit different. Limitations are not in your control. So, for example, let's say that there's some kind of weakness in the way that you did the study, and it might not be necessarily a bad weakness. It's just that, for example, you laid out your case study in such a way that you are not able to generalize your findings to a larger audience, or to a larger population. You're like, for example, yes, maybe you surveyed nurses, but you cannot say that all nurses believe what is expressed here in the survey that you have included in your study. So just to sum up, is that delimitations are in your control. It's something that you can control, And it largely it's your choice. I mean, who you include and who you don't include in your study, and what gets in and what does not get in. It's almost like what some people call like an inclusion criteria. If some people meet your inclusion criteria, they get in the study. That's your choice. If they don't, that's also your choice. And whereas limitations are not in your control, it's mostly based upon the fact that you've decided to use a certain methodology and a certain way of collecting data that may or may not allow you to do certain things, like generalize to a larger population. In short, talk to your chair about this topic, and at the same time, look at what other studies at your school, at your other dissertations at your school have done with these sections to see to what degree they are common and they're expected. Rainer asks, it's been over a year and I've not been able to secure a chair for my dissertation. What am I doing wrong? Rainer, welcome to the show, and this gets me so mad that you are somehow, by your university, put in a position where you are not able to get a chair after a year. Because my assumption is like hearing your question, is that you have a choice of who your chair is. And if indeed you've been actively searching for a dissertation chair and you have not been able to find one, that tells me that either something's going on with you or something's going on with your school. And I have a feeling that you're doing fine. You are a doctoral student who's just trying to finish, and that in reality, your university is not able to accommodate all the people that are looking to get a chair. That is a disservice. But let's talk about you for a second. If I don't know your situation entirely, but I would say if sometimes candidates go to chairs, potential chairs, and they have such a solid idea about what they want to do, that when the potential chair comes back with some suggestions about what has to happen for you to work with them or for you to continue with the study, sometimes candidates can withdraw and not want to work with that chair because they're unwilling to make the changes that are necessary. In my time, many candidates have come to me, because of this show and because of my website, and they've asked for guidance about certain types of studies, mostly correlational studies, regression studies, and typically my urging is that people stay away from, at least in the dissertation world, consider staying away from those types of methodologies unless they're absolutely sure that they are willing to handle the statistical requirements of that type of study. It's not simply as, this is a bit of a tangent, but it's not as simple as just comparing two things, and like so many candidates think. And so this just makes me think that I doubt that you're doing this, but imagine a situation where there's some people that are watching this that might be putting themselves in this place where they're coming to their potential chair and they're being very inflexible about what they want to study. And by virtue of that, they can't find a chair. But based on your question, I don't think that's happening. If you're in a state, that is, if you're in a place, a university, where it is difficult to get a chair, clearly the email thing, the communicating from afar thing might not be what's best for you. You might need to go find out where these dissertation chairs are live in the world and pursue them, and be with, don't pursue them and get arrested or something, but I do want you to pursue them and get close by to where they are, and so that way you can find out if you can work with them. Good luck, Rainer. Mia asks, how much of my literature review needs to be done before I submit my proposal? Mia from the Accelerator, welcome to the show. It depends on your school. It depends on your school how much you need to have done. You have to really ask your chair, your advisor, what is the norm. It depends what you also mean by literature review. So first of all, I think everyone that is watching this needs to know what the thing looks like that they're trying to write. And so you need to go into your university's database, whatever they're using, and you need to download the most recent 25 dissertations that have been published there, and look at the methodologies that have been used, look at the style, look at the layouts of the chapters. You also need to download the most recent dissertation manual, and whether you're doing a master's thesis, a position paper, a dissertation, no matter what you're doing, you need to know exactly what the final product should look like to a certain degree. So that's first. Well, second, it depends on what you mean by a literature review. I think that you should be well into your literature search as you are submitting the initial proposal for your paper. And it depends largely on your university. Some universities require that you have chapters 1, 2, and 3 of your entire dissertation done, which means you have your literature review completely in the can done. Some universities require only an initial chapter, kind of like a prospectus write-up or a concept paper, a one-chapter sort of dissertation that includes some literature review, which means probably to me that you're halfway through your literature search. So I think step one is go find out what the expectation is from your chair and your advisor. Second of all, I think that typically most people are about halfway done with their literature search if they're submitting a smaller version, not all 3 chapters of a dissertation, but like a position paper, initial write-up, a master's thesis, 1 chapter, concept paper, or a 1-chapter style dissertation. And then you can go out later and do the full 3 chapters or the full sections that would constitute a full lit review. Andrew asks, is there a universal academic definition for theory? Can anything be considered a theory? Andrew, also from the Accelerator, welcome to the show. And the answer is yes. I mean, nearly anything can be considered a theory that has the word theory wrapped around it. But I think that theories in general have some I think theories have, at least in the dissertation academic sense, have some pretty clear characteristics in my mind. A theory is posited by an expert, by someone who is qualified because of their scholarly background to make such an assertion. Einstein has his theory. That dude who smokes in front of the liquor store down the street from me, he also has a theory, but it's not the same thing. Theories also are probably well defined. And this is where lots of candidates get into trouble when they want to talk about their theoretical framework or their conceptual framework, is they latch onto a theory-ish idea that is very nebulous. And I think that a great theory that you can utilize in your dissertation and present in your dissertation typically is one that can be well defined. It has a clear definition. And best case scenario, that definition is no longer than like 4 sentences, that you can clearly define this thing in about 4 sentences. The best theories, not all of them, but I think the best theories have some kind of working model, some kind of visual to show what it is that people are talking about, or that this person is talking about. So you have to consider, in my opinion, the scholarliness of the source, the specificity of the definition, and that bonus, which is, can you actually draw out the thing and have that as a theory? But be careful about theories, because I can have a theory, but it doesn't mean that it means something. If I'm not qualified to talk about the subject matter, it's not a theory. Theories often have a capital T. It's a capital T theory. And those are what you want to focus on in a dissertation. So everyone, I want to just thank you for reconnecting with me here during the spring, and I want you to include lots of your questions. I mean, my gosh, please subscribe to this channel using the subscribe link down here, I think it is. And also at the same time, what I want you to do is I want you to leave me a comment and ask me a question, please. Ask me about anything, small, big. I'll take anything. And because your questions they allow me to breathe. And this show only exists so that way I can answer your questions. And so please be sending them my way. Get an awesome start to the month of April. Just go straight in. Make sure that you have a target for this week about your dissertation. Be working hard to meet that target. Remember that goals are not important. Your execution and actually doing something, that's important. Have a great week.